If she had known that it was the last hour of her mother's life, Morgane would have done things differently. But that was the thing about a life at sea such as they had. There was no way to tell where death would come from. They all expected it at every moment, so usual a threat that it became oddly comfortable, sinking into the background like a storm front on the horizon that never quite arrived. It was going to hit at some point. They all knew it. It was going to toss everything around and potentially wreck it all. But until that day, Morgane somehow hadn't ever believed it would come for the captain of the Vengeance, the scourge of the sea. Morgane had watched her mother pacing the deck since leaving their latest victim, a French trading ship, stricken in the water some miles back. She was finding fault with repairs, snapping at anyone who had the misfortune of needing to speak with her. Morgane was glad to be out of the way, sat as she was, straddled across the bowsprit right at the front of their brigantine, her back to the sea as she sanded down the repair she'd worked on long enough to make her back ache. They were all tired and short-tempered, only a day from Port Royal, and ready to spend the gold from their labours. But she knew the captain was bothered by something else, something to do with the ship they'd just ransacked. There had been nothing remarkable about it, just another Four Chains Company trade ship that had surrendered to the Vengeance, as they all did in the end. The captain of the captured vessel, trembling like a palm leaf in a brisk wind, had readily accepted her mother's terms without any need for further violence. The haul was so good that they were now low in the water, and as slow as a man who'd just feasted to the point of discomfort. There was gold aplenty to divide between them, and bundles of goods ready to be sold on for more. No one had died, and the only injury had been to Bull's left cheek, hit by a splinter. Jacques, the quartermaster, and best with needle and thread, had already sewn it up. So what then could explain the foul temper? Her mother was usually high-spirited after each victory. One more notch in the beam across her bed, a further insult to the one who'd wronged her all those years ago. She'd watched her mother run a fingertip across those notches every night before they slept. Her mother in the captain's bed, herself in the hammock strung up in the corner of her cabin, as it had always been. Those few silent moments of satisfaction before climbing into bed and stretching out, hands tucked behind her head, a smile playing across her lips.